Right then, how's it going? It's me, Shotty4HF, and this is just going to be a really quick video to look at a free plugin called TAL Filter 2, and it's available for Windows and Mac, just to get that out of the way. So, what I've got loaded up here is a little project. It's a simple dance beat and bass line. The bass line was just something I put together in FM8, and it sounds like this when running all together. Just got like a little bit of a pitch glide on there, and what I've got essentially here is all of my bass elements going to a bass submix, which is this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab TAL Filter 2 and put it onto my submix. You can get this from TAL Software. I'll leave a link in the description, of course. And this is what it looks like if you haven't seen it before. And basically what this is, it's just like a filter curve that you can kind of draw in, and it can affect the panning, so a left and right placement. It can affect the gain. It can also affect a low pass filter or a high pass filter or a band pass. And I'm going to show you what this sounds. I'll put it on low pass for now and just show you what this sounds like when it's just looping and when you first load this thing in. And I'm going to solo the bass channel so you can hear this. So, and of course you can speed it up and stuff like that, you know. And as you can see, when that blue line follows the curve, that is triggering the low pass filter. Okay, so what I'm interested in is this MIDI capability over here, this MIDI trigger capability. So what I do, and you'll notice in this, there's no sidechain function. There's nothing up here to activate sidechain or anything like that. So what I do is I click on the MIDI, make sure that's highlighted, and then turn off the loop because I don't want that going anymore. I just want this to be triggered by the MIDI. And in Cubase, what we have to do is we go up here and just create a MIDI track. Okay, so we just create a blank MIDI track and put that in there. Now, when you create a MIDI track in Cubase, it automatically sends it to the piano wavetable synth, and I'll show you what happens. I'm going to be copying the kick pattern to the MIDI track, like so, and let's have a quick listen to that, and you'll notice there's this annoying piano sound coming through, like that, which we obviously don't want. So I'm going to make sure that I turn that off, so it's not connected to anything. We just have the kick pattern on this MIDI track here. Now, I've got TAL Filter 2 on my bass submix. So what we do is we go to the MIDI track and I go onto MIDI sends and I turn on one of these sends. Obviously, this might be different in whatever DAW you're using, but this is how I do it in Cubase. So I click over here and where it says not connected, and then I want to send this to the TAL filter, which is on my bass mix. So I can see it there, so I'm going to select that one. And if we go back to TAL Filter, what you'll notice now is that this curve is triggered every time the kick hits. You can see that happening there. Okay? Okay, great. Now, I know what some people might be saying. Of course, you can get this sound, the same sound or similar, with different forms of sidechaining. You could sidechain compressors, you could sidechain gates, noise gates, MIDI gates, whatever. You could get a very similar effect. But what I like about this is the simplicity of this plugin. You know, you're not messing around with the takt times and release times and that kind of thing. You're literally just looking at this curve in front of you, and you know, it's just easy to manipulate and move about and to sort of get it where you want it. And what I'm doing here is I'm going through the low pass filter and I'm getting that typical sidechain ducking effect on the bass. Now let's have a listen to that. Let's go back to ×4. So obviously without it, just get the sustained note, and then with it. And you know, if it's ducking too low, you can obviously bring this up so it's not filtering all the way. Make it longer. and you can really sort of get that sounding exactly as you want. Now, again, I'm well aware that you can do this with other forms of sidechaining. You can also do this, and it's very similar in something called Flux Mini 2, I think it is. Let's have a look at that. So this is Flux Mini 2, and this is very similar, but it does actually have a sidechain option, so you can actually send audio to this as well and get that same kind of effect. Okay, so I'm going to show you where I went like a little bit further with this TAL filter, and hopefully kind of demonstrate why I think it's a bit different to sort of normal sidechaining, if you want to call it that, the conventional way of sidechaining. Basically what I've done, as I said, I've got all my bass going to my bass submix, and then on my bass submix, this is being sent to some bass reverb. And if I just bypass TAL filter 2 for now, you can hear the bass and the reverb, and it sounds a little bit too big and noisy. So like that. And then I've got my TAL filter 2 on the bass mix, which is doing its thing, which is like this. But as you can hear, the reverb is still very big and a little bit overpowering, so we want that kind of similar ducking effect on the reverb as well. So I've actually got TAL filter 2 loaded up here on the reverb. Now, as you can see, I'm doing a slightly different curve to what I'm doing on the bass mix, okay? And this is where it does get quite creative with this, I guess. You can really experiment with this quite easily and get some really interesting results. So what I'm going to show you is, I'm just going to make sure that my MIDI is sent to the TAL filter on the reverb as well. And when they are both playing back like this, you can then make the curve a bit longer on the bass mix, for example. But what I'm doing with the reverb is I'm kind of going straight into the reverb, and then it's ducking back down again. So I'm only getting that short burst of reverb at the beginning, and then I'm getting the bass afterwards. So this is just really interesting, and moving some of this stuff about can give completely different effects, and I'll kind of show you what I mean. You could have the bass mix coming in later and the reverb right at the beginning. Again, moving this, you could bring in the bass and have the reverb much later. There you go. So without having to set up lots of compressors and sidechaining and that kind of thing, you can load up 3 or 4 of these TAL filters on different elements and start drawing in different curves until they all interact with each other in a slightly different way. And yeah, I just found this to be a little bit more engaging and a little bit more creative. And I'd loaded up TAL filter as it was, and you know, you can get some interesting sounds out of it as it is, but I hadn't really explored this MIDI trigger capability. And so when I came across that, I thought, yeah, actually, this could be quite interesting just from a sort of creative point of view. And so that's it. That's all I wanted to share with you in this video. It's a free plugin, and if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that I do like a free plugin, and I like to sort of experiment with some of these things and see what happens. As always, if you found this video interesting or you like this video, please do give it a like. It always helps. And do subscribe if you haven't already. It's 2023 and I'm getting back on with creating videos, so there will be many more videos to come very, very soon. So I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take it easy, stay creative, sound.